black people do have a history, so I can't approach it from that viewpoint. I will tell you what I say, that when people ask me what is my history in a codified manner, and people can use this because this is in the book, the textbook for victims, you just simply say, my history is everything that ever happened before the beginning of time and since. And that is the truth. Because nothing is supposed to be in a counter-racist code that is not true. You don't make untruthful statements. The white supremacists are masters of falsehood. We use just the opposite. If you're going to counter white supremacy, you have to go with the truth. Mm-hmm. And so years ago, when people got to arguing back and forth about, black history, what is it, how far back does it go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, what exactly is black history? And I just simply say, well, I'm a person, first of all, and so the question is, the logical question, what is a person's history? All right? Even before I get to the black part, what is any person's history? And I came up with a logical answer, and I give that as my whole history. When people ask me, what is your history, Fuller? I say, my history is everything that ever happened before the beginning of time, because time did have a beginning, I guess, and since the beginning of time, unquote. You got all of my history right there. Everything that ever happened, every rock that ever turned over on some planet, every star that ever fell out of the sky, every blade of grass that ever grew in a forest is Neely Fuller Jr.'s history. Why? Because it's in the universe that I'm in, or in all the universes. A lot of people say that this is not the only universe. There are trillions of them out there. All right? That's all a part of my history. Why? Because I'm here. That's why. And all of these things, anything that happened before me is my history. Anybody who says that's not true is not telling the truth. That's what I say the study of history should be. And this is important. And it's excellent that you brought this up, because I want to talk about this. History and bragging. Somehow many people got in the habit of looking at history as something to brag about. There's nothing to brag about in anybody's history. Why? Because the world, as far as recorded history is concerned, has never been the type of world that it should have been, except with the possible exception of what they say in the beginning, in what they call the King James Version of the Bible. They say is in the beginning, when the first people appeared on the planet, presumably Adam and Eve were their names, that everything was perfect. There was no non-justice, because you had balance between people, balance between those two people. It was just two people here, so they say, all right? So there was balance, and these people were also in harmony with their environment. See, they were here on the planet Earth. So the King James Version of what they call the Holy Bible says in a chapter called Genesis, so I understand, so I've been told. I don't know, I wasn't there. So I'm not saying it's true one way or the other. I'm just saying everything was perfect then. But since then, since that era, nothing has been the way that it ought to be, so I've been told. And there's plenty of evidence of that. Now, I have witnessed that myself, and I have never encountered anybody who has told me that they've been in a place that you could actually brag about based on what? Nobody being mistreated, and everybody who needed constructive help got it. Now, I don't know of any such place on Earth, on this planet, because you have to have it on the entire planet, by the way, simultaneously. Nobody being mistreated in order to have justice, because justice, you can't have justice in one place and have non-justice in another place. That's not the equation. That's not the way you measure justice. You can't have injustice or non-justice any place. So anytime you have anybody being mistreated anywhere, then you don't have justice, which means you don't have any history to brag about. And in recorded history, I've never even heard of a place other than the place that I just named, the Garden of Eden, they called it. I've never even heard of a place. And there was another place, I don't want to miss anything. They say there's a place called heaven, but I'm talking about here on the planet Earth. Now, in a place called heaven, wherever that is, they say everything is perfect. There's no such thing as anything going on in heaven that's not perfect. That's not the way it absolutely ought to be. But everything on the planet Earth in recorded history that is going on adds up to being sum total, not the way it ought to be. So we're talking about history now. Is there a time that, other than what I just cited, that on this place called Earth, that people had anything that they could brag about as being the way it should be? Mm-hmm. And the answer is no. So history should not be used to brag, when history should be used for one purpose only: to study, to find out where all of the mistakes were made, and all of the mistakes that we're making now that need to be instantly corrected right this minute.